Little housekeeping note, we are going to have a Q&A during this session, so there are going to be microphones out in the audience, so please don't be shy at the end and ask some questions. Donors Unplugged is going to be moderated today by Matt Borman from Louisiana State University. But let me introduce our speaker. Dr. Trisha Bailey joins us on stage, and I'm delighted to introduce her to you all. Jamaican born and hailing from Hartford, Connecticut, Trisha is a dynamic businesswoman, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and recent author of her autobiography, Unbroken. Her business began in medical equipment sales and has since successfully expanded into pharmaceutical and commercial real estate, where she currently owns and operates several companies. The former track athlete from the University of Connecticut combined her passion for caring for others and her love of her alma mater with the landmark gift to name the Bailey Student Athlete Success Center this past fall. Please join me in giving a welcome to Dr. Bailey.
Everybody's talking about the walk-up music. I think we got the bottom of the barrel there. So Dr. Bailey, we're excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us. I just want to start off with letting you talk to the crowd a little bit about you and your background.
I'm so excited to be here with you today. My story began in Woodland, St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, a very extremely rural town. It is a place that has no resources. When I was growing up, we had no electricity, no running water. We had to carry water about a mile, 2 miles to bathe or drink. We walked 3.5 miles to school every day. I transitioned from Jamaica to Connecticut. I was 13 years old. While I was growing up, I was a happy child. I had so much love from the women who supported us, like my grandmother. Every Thursday night, my grandmother would pack all the farming items that we have produced, and she would walk 25 miles each way to the farm and to sell the items at the market. When she gets to the market, she works all day for 8-9 hours, and she walks back home with the meat that she bought from the items she sold, and that's how we ate. But as a child, I did not understand that we were poor because I always ate. I always was happy. My cousins, my aunts, we watched my grandma feed every child in the community. Everyone would show up. And I see her making sure that every person ate. Some days, she did not have food left over for herself, which more often than not. And she would drink the broth from the food that she had cooked as her meal. So as I evolve into the person I am today, I try to mirror this angel that walked on earth, which was my grandmother, who have instilled so much kindness and love into each and every person that she touched. And my job, my responsibility, is to become as close to her as there is possible in injecting humanity, care, and love amongst every person that I engage with.
So that's unbelievable story in your autobiography that's coming out next month, but kind of teasing it a little bit today. Talk to us a little bit about Unbroken and what that's going to be.
So in my journey, oftentimes people say I make it look easy because I have this thing about me that no matter what happens, no matter what challenges that I face, no matter how much someone hurt me, no matter how much someone may have betrayed me, I love each person exactly the same. It is a unique strength, and I believe my God gift to the world and to humanity. So my autobiography entails the trials, the overcoming challenges, the ways in which I have built my empire, the ways in which I have been kind and loving and caring and centered with God. Today, I'm actually opening, even though the release date is the July 27th, I am opening, if you would like to make a purchase on Amazon or createmyownYes.com, it will be open till 7 p.m.
So your story just as an individual is really incredible, but as we add into it the layer that you were a college athlete, I think that makes it even more impressive and adds more to the story. Tell us about your athletic journey and how you became a collegiate athlete.
So I wanted to get away from home as a teenager. I didn't want to be around my parents. And when you read the book, you'll find out why. So I decided to start sports. The first sports I started in high school was gymnastics. I sucked royally at it. I couldn't do a split, I couldn't do a cartwheel, but I was determined that after school I was going to find something to do. And when I was running around the track, one of the track girls said to me, "You seem like you'll be a really good runner." And that's all I needed to hear, because within 24 hours I was quitting gymnastics and joining track. And there just so happened to be a coach in my high school who was amazing. He was one of the best in the state. And he teamed me up with the best girl that was on the team. She was a national champion. And I wanted to beat her so bad. Everything inside my soul burned to beat her. I did beat her once. And thereafter, I realized that, okay, I didn't need to do other sports because track was my calling, and that's the space that I have been in. And as a child, I used to walk 3.5 miles to school, and I used to run home, and I didn't know why I was running, but I found out when UConn gave me my scholarship that running was really my calling.
That's awesome. So how did competing at UConn prepare you for your career?
Oh, wow. The place that gave me my first chance. Competing at UConn was the best gift that my life has ever received. And I've received a lot of amazing gifts. It was truly my first chance. I couldn't be in college if I didn't get a scholarship at UConn. I wouldn't be in the space I'm in if it wasn't for my scholarship at UConn. Being at UConn taught me, and competing there taught me discipline, time management. Track being an individual sport, I had to learn to make my fire burn, even if the team's fire wasn't burning. And I realized when I was at UConn, my coach Bogenshoes, when I was there, it was special because she realized that I was one of those people who practiced better by myself. So she started having me practice in the middle of the day because she realized for some reason I was always better when I was alone. And thereafter, all went. I started competing better, I started winning more, and I started being a greater basis to the team and showing the girls the examples of what it should be as a collegiate athlete.
That's great. So we're in a room full of fundraisers. We want to talk a little bit about your giving history. What was your first philanthropic gift to any charity? And then what was the first gift you made to UConn and your university?
My first gift, my absolute first gift, when I started my company, Bailey's Medical Equipment and Supplies, the reason why I started that is because I was in a coma in 2008, and I was transitioning from California to Florida. And while I was transitioning, I was by myself. My larynx was clipped, so I was not able to speak. My legs did not work because of the coma, and so I was wheelchair bound. And the flight attendant escorted me from the aircraft and placed me in a corner waiting for the next person to come and help me. No one came. 2.5, 3 hours, I sat in the corner and I cried. I cried because I was alone and I needed help. And I tried to signal people, different people, but they moved about their days as aimlessly and intentional as they needed. No one saw me. And finally, after 2.5 hours, a young girl came to me and she came close enough for me to tell her what my needs were. And at that moment, I realized the disabled was invisible to the world. And as I recovered from the coma, I decided that I wanted to inject all the care and all the love for every person and every disabled or elderly person in the world. I wanted to touch each of their lives. So when I started my company, Bailey's Medical Equipment and Supplies, the very first donation, the very first thing I did, I wrote a check for $500. I forgot who I gave it to, but it was written to a charity because I wanted the company to be founded on the basis of caring, giving, love, and absolute kindness.
That's an unbelievable story. And then what about the first one to UConn? How
So
did
my
you get
first
involved?
one to UConn, I got involved. I was not involved. Matter of fact, years and years and years ago, I would get the endowment calls and, raising money. And I said I was in my savings stage at that time, and I did not give away much because I know I needed a foundation. And I remember I remember posting on Facebook years and years ago, and I said, I cannot wait until I'm able to donate to the place that gave me my first chance at life and at success. And during the pandemic, 2020, I was going through some challenges, major challenges, but our track program was going through even greater challenges, it seemed like. And the program was threatened to be eliminated from the university. And I received some phone calls from my ex-coach, and we talked about it, and I said, okay, my first gift, I will give $500,000 to the track program in the hopes that it will save it. And we were successful in saving the program. Thereafter, my lovely Mike, who is no longer with us, at least he's no longer with UConn, that is, we met, we talked about injecting some more money into the program. I went to campus and I realized the only sport that didn't have a new facility, the same one that I was there 20 plus years ago, was the beloved track program. And I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to show young girls across the world, and women and men as well, that being kind and giving and injecting the love that you needed into the place that have given you an opportunity is necessary, it is rewarding, it is one of the greatest feeling of accomplishment that you could ever do. And at that time, I decided to make the pledge. And my pledge is anonymous, but it's a lot of millions.
That's awesome. Congratulations. So you talked about your relationship with Mike, and obviously he went and took the athletic director job at UNC Wilmington. Everybody's super happy for him. But talk about what characteristics in a major gift fundraiser that you think as a donor are important to have.
Humanity, because you have to speak to people's hearts. Humanity. Showing them that the reason why each of you are in the role that you're in raising funds is because you care. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be in this role. You would have something else. You go do another job. You are not in an academia or university setting because you're chasing the next billion or the next $1 trillion. It is because you love and you care, and showing that humanity component of it, not only for your students and extending beyond the sports field, extending in their lives. The things that I look for is, are you touching the lives outside of sports? We know the coaches and we know the staff are touching the lives within the sport because they have to, that's their directive. But are you touching those lives that are needed, the kids that need that attention, whether it's mental health, whether it is academic performances, whether it is entrepreneurship, whether it is financial literacy, managing their lives in general? Are you touching the lives of children? Because no one wants to donate to a building. You want to donate to a cause. And because I saw and I experienced, so it wasn't easy. I was an easy sell.
Understand.
I was an easy sell. So because I had the opportunity to be in the success that I'm in because of University of Connecticut, it was easy for me to write the check. Because it's not about the building that is named after me, it's about each and every young girl or boy who is trying to find themselves, who is trying to figure out what's their next step, where do they go from college or sports, and how do they accomplish those roles. And I believe that if you are able to convince, if you are able to show the donors the impact that they will have on the children's lives, I believe that your job will be easy, because I know that's what touched me. And that is what I look for. And if you're kind, you're just kind. Of course, there's some people probably will never give because they're just not givers. But if you have a giving heart, it's not too hard to convince it when it's humanity-based. And that is a direction that is going to help so many children across the globe.
So we also know that development it's a team effort. And so I'm sure you know a lot of different people in the UConn Foundation and in the athletic department there. But as Mike left and transitioned into his new role, you had to have a different relationship with Tori and Lauren, I'm sure. Talk about that transition and just tell the people in the room here that if they're going through that transition, is there any advice you would give them as they're taking on maybe a new prospect that had a great relationship with somebody on their staff previously?
Oh yeah, it's Tori and Lauren are just beautiful souls, and so they're, I feel as though I felt like a sister connection to each of them. As I went through the transition, these young women attend to me like, oh my God. I actually thought Tori was working for free. I called her voicemail, and her last name is, what is Tori's last name? I forgot, it's on something. I said, did you say you're working for free on your voicemail? Wow, that's a big job. She's like, no, honey, I'm not. I'm like, okay. But they care for me. And I can tell that they're not just caring because I'm a donor. I can tell they're caring because they actually truly do care. And as long as you allow the person who is the giver to feel as though they are the center of your situation in the present moment, I believe that your transition will be easy and simple. So my transition was extremely easy and extremely simple because they are the epitome of kindness, love, and care, and I get to feel that when I engage with them. So I'm always so happy.
That's awesome. Good job, UConn. Outside of philanthropy, what's the best connection, most meaningful connection that you've had with your athletic department or the track program?
I get the opportunity to host the track program every year for the last several years, for their spring break. So they come down from Connecticut. I have a horse ranch here, 58 acres horse ranch, and I have event centers that's on the ranch as well, and they come down and I see the joy in those kids. Oh, and the mentorship. And when they message me, I tell them I am open to mentorship. So call me, text me, message me, whatever it is that you need, what direction you would like to go, and I'm going to make sure that I will take that time to inject some of the positive energies into you developing yourself. So my relationship with the athletes, it's amazing. One of the things that UConn did, which I think was one of my favorite things, they included me in choosing the track coach, the new head coach, when my coach retired, because the things that I was looking for was exactly what I got from the current coach. And I wanted someone who was consistent. I wanted someone who cared about the kids off the track and developed them and want to stay in the space where they were. And it's just so happened that the person that I was just absolutely loved, everyone else on the department loved her too, so it wasn't hard of a sell for me. So that is really, really important, to keep your donors engaged and involved in the things that you're doing. Because when they're engaged and involved, you feel, and they will feel, the love coming from you and how important they are to your process and to your universities. They will absolutely, their heart will open more. And when your heart open more, guess what open more? Your checkbook open more.
So as a UConn alum and a former student athlete, I know of the track program, but you got to be really proud of the two basketball programs that have had unbelievable success. So how have those programs further even engaged you with your track program?
So UConn pretty much, they include me in pretty much everything that they're doing. Whether I can join or not join, they include me. I'm a part of the process. So I actually had, for the Final Fours, at the start of the season, I said, we're winning national championship. From my lips to God ears, and it came true. So my goddaughter was having her shower on the Saturday of the Final Four. So I'm like, okay, I gotta figure out how. I'm godmom, I have to be at the shower. But it's Final Fours. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? I have to be at the Final Fours, but I have to be at the shower. And so I called my good friend and I said, okay, you start the shower at 3 o'clock, then I could leave at 5 and I could get to my aircraft, and then I take a helicopter from there because there'd be too much traffic to get to the stadium. They're like, you don't have to do that. Don't come to the shower, you're okay. It was happiest and best gift I've ever received. I said, you sure I'm gonna still be godmom when I come back home? Yes, you'll be godmom when you come back home. I will send you videos. I said, thank you, Jesus. So, you know, that was my first Final Four and first national championship. When I was on the court as the celebration is going on and the confettis are going, and I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do with myself right now. And so Ray Allen walked by me, he said, Trish, you don't know what to do yourself? I said, I have no damn idea. And it was one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had in sports, even beyond my winning when I was in college.
That's special.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have nearly 400 athletic fundraisers in the room right now. What advice do you have to give them to engage future alumni and future donors at their institutions?
Well, first you have to have your target list of who's donated, because you know if you donated before, you're gonna probably donate again. And you have to have your target list for the people, I'm sure you have your endowments, people will do 2,000, 10,000, or whatever amount of money there is. I think that the fastest way to get to your accomplished goal would be find the people who have donated before, focus on showing them how much care that you inject into your student body, into your university, and show them why it's important for them to be a part of those journey. Because once you've opened, again, I did $500,000 and I came back a year later and did a lot more millions. Because once you have the money and your heart is generous and your heart is towards your organization, the school who has pretty much raised you, most of us who donate to universities, you have either been to the university or there's something about the school, whether it's your kids that have gone there or so forth. You have to make sure that you're touching those people because that's going to be your fastest way to get to the next stage. Find the accomplishments, people who are extremely accomplished, who have went to the university or who are in family money. Those are the people who will be your target because those are the people who are going to have the money and the resources. And again, show them that you actually, truly, truly do care. Once you show anyone that you truly care, everything else becomes easy because what most people in the world need and most people in the world want is love. And whether it's love through helping, whether it's love through giving, whether it's love through just kind words, everybody wants to be loved. You want to be rich and you want to love. There are two things in America, rich and love. So you go to the rich people and you give them love. And once you have given them love, those rich people will start opening their checkbooks.
So what's the most meaningful piece of stewardship that you've experienced with your relationship with UConn Athletics? Putting you on the spot. This wasn't in the pre.
I think, I don't know if I can actually choose one specific thing. I think, being able to deliver the commencement speech, coming from where I did, and coming from the meager beginnings in which I have and my family have, and as you already know, I did not come from money. Being able to ask to deliver the commencement speech to the pharmacology, which is my field, the medical field, was, oh God, that was amazing. It felt so, I actually used the words during my speech, for the first time in my life, I feel accomplished. I became a billionaire and I didn't feel accomplished then. I felt accomplished just because I was able to share my story and my words with the graduating class. And I knew that by giving them something to hold on to, when they graduate, it will resonate because they're looking and searching for what to do in the next step. So that meant so much to me. And in those moments, I knew that my responsibility, just like I knew when I was sitting in that wheelchair, is to love and to care and to help others.
I've never thought about a commencement speech as stewardship, but it really is the ultimate piece of stewardship. And so thank you for sharing that. Now to our three favorite letters in college athletics right now, NIL. So as a donor, how do you feel about NIL? How do you feel about collectives raising funds to go straight into the student athletes' pockets?
I think it's actually a really great thing. I mean, the student athletes make so much money for the universities, and of course, the universities are not able to give them back based on rules or whatever it is, give them back some of the money that they had made for the school. At first, I was not for NIL because I thought that it would take away the resources from the children who needed the scholarships, and I thought that it would actually tap into that phase. And once I realized that it did not, it's just people like myself would say, okay, I'll choose XYZ athletes and I will support my brand. I think it's an amazing thing for them. I think it's an amazing thing for the school. I think it's an amazing thing for the kids because they don't have to leave. It is one of the most disheartening things as a student athlete. Mind you, track wasn't making no money for school, so ignore that, okay? For sports that actually do make money. It is one of the most disheartening things that you as a student athlete know that you are making all this money for the university, but yet you don't have $20 in your pocket to take an Uber or to go to McDonald's or the likes. When I was in college, I had $40 a semester, and I better budget that money because my mom said, you're not getting any more. Oh, I budgeted. I ended each semester with $20. But I do believe that the NIL is an amazing thing for the student athletes.
That's awesome, and that's great that you support that as well. Awesome. You've been back on campus, as you talked about, for the commencement speech, and I also was able to watch on YouTube another speech that you gave, and you're there to celebrate women and talk about sharing kindness and love to other people. After you've been successful, can you talk about what it means when you said to that group that I saw on YouTube, if your sister's crown is crooked, fix it? We have a lot of young female professionals in the room, and the way you talked to that room, I think it was special, and that message could resonate here as well.
My sisters, it is our responsibility, it is our life duty to support each woman that you engage with. If your sister's crown is crooked, fix it. If you're in leadership positions and someone is lagging behind, put your hand back, pull them next to you. Because this is how we should be, this is where we should be. And when you do that, you are truly embracing leadership. If you are not supporting the next person that comes in your space, you're not doing it right. Because your job as a leader is to encourage, embrace, uplift every person who comes in your space. Our journey as women is challenging, extremely challenging. We face things that others do not. We face challenges in racism, in some cases, and sexism in ways that others do not. We are forced to work 5 times as hard as some of the men do in order to be in the same space as they are. So it is our responsibility to always make sure that we're fixing our sister's crown. Make sure that she's walking next to you. She's not competing against you. Because whatever space that you end up in, that is the space that God wanted for you. So there's no need to compete with each other. You must uplift each other.
Awesome message. Thank you. So now we're going to give you all the opportunity to ask Trisha some questions on your own. We've got some microphones here in the middle of the room. So invite anybody that has a question for Trisha to come to the microphone and do so, please. I know we've got some. Thank you. If you could introduce yourself too as you ask the question.
Hi, my name is Richard. Do you need more information than that?
I'd love to know what school you're at, Richard.
I'm not at a school.
Okay.
I got the white lanyard.
Okay.
But question for you is, in all your experience with the types of people in this room, what are the best and worst experiences you've had in those interactions?
I actually have never had any bad experience, to tell you the truth, so which is a great thing. UConn, kudos to UConn on that one. I'm sure others probably do. My best experiences is just the way that they have received me. yes, I'm writing money, or I'm writing a check, or yes, I'm donating money and all those things, but yeah, that's just a small part of it. It's the way that I was received and brought back into the culture and the family and welcomed back, even before I donated money, even before I opened my checkbook. It was, what opportunities does your business need? It was, who can I introduce you to? Maybe you should meet this person because this person does this, or XYZ. And you know, in our world of professional engagements, sometimes one relationship could make a ginormous of a difference in the ways in which you perform or in the places that you elevate to. So I think the connections in which I have made through board members or various people who are affiliated with the university, as well as the things that I'm doing, and they're also doing, other donors as well, introducing your donors to other donors always, because you know that their hearts are the same. So they're going to engage and they're going to interact, and it's going to be a positive experience in supporting their businesses, supporting their cause, supporting their philanthropic adventures. I have met so many great people like that, and I believe that's the best part of being in the donor's position.
Great. Any more questions? Let's not be shy. Thank you very much.
I'm Nate Brown, University of Memphis. Question on the stewardship side, as a donor with relationships, and we're talking about being genuine with that, is it important, or if it hasn't, I guess if it's occurred with you, but actually involving not only you, because you write the checks, but your family? Is that something that's important to you, and you probably feel, I guess, that would encourage a little bit more of the gift as well?
Yes, absolutely. Because the reason why I do it is to show my children that being kind to the world and being kind to people around you is important. So I know, I can imagine other donors would feel exactly the same way that I do. Whenever I am given, I want my children to know that I'm given, because I want them to also be kind. And because I am the way I am, my 9-year-old, she's literally the epitome of me. She's walking down the street. My girlfriend told me a story. She took her to the grocery store. She's walking by and she says, Auntie Ann, I have $1. I need to go give it to this homeless person. And she walked back to the homeless person, disabled homeless person, and she gave him the $1. And she came to my girlfriend and she said, my mom would be so proud of me. And I'm extremely proud. So yes, the family, engaging the family, it's important to me, and I'm sure other donors as well, because if you have children, you want your children to feel the love and kindness that giving gives to you. Most people believe that when you give, you're not getting the love, but truly when you give, you're actually the one who feels the greatest joy, and you're the one who feels the greatest amount of love.
Thank you. A special story on how your daughter's mimicking your philanthropy. Thank you. Got one more there. It's hard to see up here, but yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm from the University of Wisconsin. My question is, as someone who is a supporter of NIL, what are ways in which student athletes can leverage themselves or make it enticing for donors to want to give to NIL and collectives if it's not a performance-based reason?
You know, from a business perspective, right? You have to know that you're going to have some kind of return. And somehow the athletes, based on their brand and their names, they have to figure out how to convince the business owners. Now imagine mostly it's business owners who are doing the NIL sponsorship. They have to figure out how to convince the donors, that the business owners, how they're going to duplicate or increase their revenues. Because no business owner wants to write a check to anyone that is supposed to be advertising for them and there's not going to be a return. So I think the challenge, I think, for you guys is to be able to create that space where, yes, it's not, the university itself is not necessarily affiliated with it, at least I don't believe so.
No, it's not. You're correct.
to a certain extent.
Texas A&M's not in the room, are they?
They have to be able to place it. It is a business. It is truly a business. It's a marketing business. And the athletes have to, whoever their teams are, they have to figure out how to convince those business owners that their revenue will make a change based on sponsoring them or various whatever the NIL. I'm not fully versed in NIL, so, you know.
Sounds like just the impact you can make with the student athletes, not only making it enticing for those student athletes to be at UConn, but also impacting their lives fits right in with your philanthropy goals. We have another question right here.
Yes. Hi, my name is Dr. Wendy Ellis Jones. I want to say I just bought your book, so in supporting the sisters, I just wanted you to know that that's wonderful, and I definitely want to support you and follow you. I would ask, as you said, we as women have to work 5 times harder and also really support each other and fix each other's crown. What would you say to us sisters specifically competing in a male-dominated space of development? What is that one piece of advice that you could pass on to us to, I guess, maybe even have, to be better specifically in this space in competing, but also really just to have, to some degree, even one piece of advantage just because we're competing in this male-dominated world of development?
So my brand is called Creating My Own Yes. And the reason why it's called Creating My Own Yes, no matter what space I've been in, regardless of, a lot of times I'm the only woman. Oftentimes I'm either one or two a black person. I always, no matter what it is, and I think it's a benefit, and it's also maybe not so much of a benefit to me because I see the positive in every single thing. So if I am in the field, and I have been in the field, and I'm currently in the field, where I'm competing against men who have advantages, cultural advantages, that is. Whatever it is that a challenge I'm facing, I find the positive in that thing. And no one deters me. No one takes off my blinders. I have a goal, I'm going to get it. I don't care if you're Hitler or you are the most horrible person who think they're gonna stop me, you can't. Because the way that I am and the way I believe that everyone who wants to be successful, not just women, you have to have your blinders on. I'm never distracted. Never, absolutely never distracted. If there's something that I need, it stays on course. And no matter what the hurdles are, you tell me no, I'm going to find my own yes. Even if I have to create that yes for myself, I am going to find my own yes.
Awesome. Got one right here on the right.
Brandon Vetter with Syracuse University. You talked about how donors, usually if they give, they're going to give again. So I wanted to hear about how you made your initial gift during the pandemic, and then Mike obviously talked to you about the gift that came later. What specific things as a fundraiser did he do that made you feel comfortable? You mentioned, feeling loved and feeling like you were a part of it, but what were some things, maybe in the cultivation stage specifically that he did that made you think, okay, these people have my best interest at heart and I'm gonna make a transformational impact?
I'm kind of tough to ask that question to because I was already convinced before Mike started talking to me. They talked to me about the various donors and the different buildings and on campus, the athletic department and the development, and I wasn't looking for anything. When I did my donation, it was literally coming from my heart. There was nothing I expected. What I did realize is that after I did the donation, it was like my 700 million was over $1 billion. And I'm like, where did that come from? It wasn't attached to UConn. It was the largest gift I've given. But it was like God says, okay, you're doing what you're supposed to do. So I'm going to go ahead and reward you because you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're living the purpose that I placed you on this earth for. So I'm going to reward you. So I'm not really the best person because I didn't need convincing. Mike came down, flew down, met with me, we had lunch, I'm always cutting up, saying something crazy. And he laughed and he went back home. I went to UConn with my friends. I saw that my beloved track program did not have a new track and they needed in order to be successful, in order to compete with the rest of the universities, and I already made my mind up. So when I made my mind up, I had a specific number in mind, and when I said what the number was, Dave said, "What do you think about adding $3 more million to that?" I said, I wasn't thinking about adding $3 more million to that, but he says, "What about in your estate?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm already dead anyway, so you might as well have it."
Last question.
Courtney Moore from UCLA. So I know you talked about supporting NIL and you also give to athletics. How do you determine how much you give to NIL, but also give to athletics in general as well?
So actually, I didn't say I give to NIL. I support NIL. I have not done anything with NIL because with NIL, I need them to show me how I'm going to get a return. So when my philanthropic side, I don't need you to show me a return because I'm not doing it for a return. I'm doing it because I believe in the cause. I believe that this is a good thing to do, and that's my purpose. With NIL, I'm a businesswoman. So I need someone to show me how you're going to take my business from, let's say, 50% to 70 or 80 or 100. I need you to show me that. And until I see that, and I have not seen that yet, again, UConn did tell NIL fundraisers to leave me alone. So I have not had a full conversation on how that will look, but that's what I will look for. That's what I will always look for if I was ever to donate or do any NIL deals.
Well, in this room, it feels like the organic NIL space is where Trisha would want to get involved, if anything. The collective side might not be her cup of tea. But I just want to tell you, Trisha, as we get through FOAD, and we've been doing this for many years, Donors Unplugged has been one of the best pieces that we do, and you've been as good a guest as we've ever had. So thank you so much for joining us today, and appreciate you sharing everything. Unbroken.
Unbroken.
Dr. Trisha Bailey on Amazon right now, so go buy it, guys. Thanks so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.